Welcome back to Terrier Nation. I'm your host, Haley Alvarez-Lauto.
And I'm James Ninneman. On this episode of Terrier Nation, Allison DeWitt recaps the softball team's explosive start to their season. Ryder Moss gives us the latest on men's ice hockey, and Tyler Davis and Jack Hughes catch us up to speed on the women's basketball team.
We'll hear from Henry Dinh-Price and Mason Jablonsky as they update us on the men's basketball team. And finally, Caitlin Beal lets us know all about the early lacrosse season.
All this and more tonight on Terrier Nation.
Thanks, Haley and James. The defending Patriot League champion BU softball team hit their opening weekend out of the park with 5 wins at the Frank Griffin Classic in DeLand, Florida. Pitchers Casey Ricard and Allison Boaz each pitched a no-hitter on opening day. Ricard, a sophomore, used 106 pitches en route to an 8-0 victory over Binghamton University. And Boaz, a graduate student, closed the day with 93 pitches in the team's 6-0 win over Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. Concluding their season-opening trip to Florida, the Terriers picked up 2 wins in a doubleheader against host Stetson. At the plate, outfielder Lauren Kelleher and shortstop Kayla Ronson, both seniors, had outstanding performances, with Kelleher going 11 for 17 and Ronson 13 for 20 from the plate over the weekend. The team entered the weekend stacked with preseason awards, with Ricard, Boaz, Ronson, and Kelleher all earning preseason All-Patriot League honors. Boaz also was named Patriot League Pitcher of the Year, and Ronson preseason Patriot League Offensive Player of the Year. Their teammate, graduate student Caitlin Coker, an infielder, was also honored as part of the preseason All-Patriot League team and named Patriot League Defensive Player of the Year. Their head coach, Ashley Waters, also set a record for all-time career wins while in Florida, recording her 272nd win in the season opener versus Binghamton. With such great and proven talent, this team has a bright future ahead of them this season. Up next, they will travel to North Carolina for the Charlotte Invitational, where they will face Queens University, UNC Charlotte, and Canisius. Now, get ready for the latest on men's ice hockey from Ryder.
Thanks, Allison. 2024 has already been an exciting year for the Boston University Terriers, with a thrilling weekend matchup between BU and their biggest rivals, the Boston College Eagles, followed by an intense battle for the Beanpot Championship at TD Garden. Towards the end of January, the Terriers sat at number 1 in the nation, and on January 26th, the team traveled down to Chestnut Hill to a packed Conti Forum. This historic matchup marked the very first time that the famous Battle of Comm Ave would take place, with BU and BC ranked as number 1 and 2 respectively. The game remained a close battle with a 2-1 score up until the 17-minute and 49-second mark, when BU pulled goaltender Karan for a 6th skater with hopes of tying the game late. However, a pair of BC empty net goals would seal the deal and result in a 4-1 loss for the Terriers. The next day, BC traveled up to a sold-out Agganis Arena, where the Terriers again fought hard but came up short, losing 4-3. In the final minutes, BU would call Karan to the bench, and freshman forward Macklin Celebrini would score to bring the Terriers within 1, but they would fail to tie the game. The BC Eagles celebrated their win loud and proud, right in front of BU's student section, only adding fuel to a fire that would carry over to their highly anticipated rematch in the Beanpot. And so, on February 5th, the Terriers faced off against Boston College in the semifinals of the 71st Duncan Men's Beanpot at TD Garden. Despite an early power play opportunity for the Eagles, Karan stood tall in net, along with a strong penalty kill, to keep the scoring at 0, until Macklin Celebrini would score 2 straight, 1 at even strength and 1 on a power play, igniting the BU crowd. The Eagles got on the board for the first time in the game with a power play goal in the second frame, but it didn't take long for Luke Tuck to retaliate, gaining a 2-goal lead, which was extended early in the third when Ryan Green ripped a one-timer from Tuck, sending BU to the Beanpot Championship matchup versus the Northeastern Huskies. In this nail-biting championship game, Macklin Celebrini continued to be a star player on the ice, putting BU on the board in the first period. The Huskies opened the second period scoring, but the Terriers answered back with a 2-on-1 that resulted in an own goal after a pass from Tom Willander to Devin Kaplan was deflected past Huskies goaltender Cameron Whitehead by his own teammate. Amid BU Dog Pound celebration, Northeastern struck back only 39 seconds later with a goal of their own. The Terriers would enter the third period with a lead as Lane Hudson lit the lamp in the dying seconds of the second period. Halfway through the final frame of regulation, the Huskies evened the score with a power play goal, forcing the game into overtime. BU wasted no time getting pucks towards Huskies goaltender Whitehead, outshooting the Huskies 6-1 throughout the overtime period. However, as the clock wound down towards what would seem to be a shootout finish to the Beanpot, Northeastern's Gunnar Wolf Fontaine put a puck past Matthew Caron to end the game in a devastating 4-3 loss for the Terriers. Now let's hit the hardwood and hear from Tyler and Jack with women's basketball.
Thanks, Ryder. Getting right into things, the women's basketball team has had quite a lot of ups and downs this year. Right now, they're coming off a much-needed win against Army after a 3-game losing streak, including a disastrous third quarter against Bucknell in a 60-71 loss. But they've also demonstrated performances similar to that of last season's team that went 17-1 in 2023, including a defensive clinic in a 51-39 win over Lafayette and coming just one shot short of forcing overtime against Lehigh 64-62, despite the absence of preseason Player of the Year Caitlin Weimer.
Yeah, Jack. This season, the women's basketball team has been struggling a bit. You might even say that they're in the doghouse. In conference play, the Terriers are 5-1 at home, but 1-5 away. Jack, why do you think this Terrier team is struggling to win their away games?
Well, this is a young team, Tyler, and as is the case with a lot of young teams, the adaptation process has been difficult. Having to develop that team chemistry as the season goes along, on top of having to deal with different environments, has proven a tall task for the Terriers.
I still think there's time to turn the season around in conference play for sure. I mean, we've had quite a few players who have been extremely consistent in their success. Caitlin Weimar has been an absolute unit this season, as always. She's been averaging 18.5 points per game and 10.9 rebounds. To top that off, she has had a whopping 57 blocks already this season. In the game against Army, she posted 7 blocks, which is her season high. She is the top defensive and offensive unit inside the paint. Jack, who would you say are some other key players for this Terrier team?
I think the expansion of Alex Giannaros' game has been absolutely crucial for keeping the Terriers afloat in a lot of these games. Last season, she was renowned mostly as a three-point sniper, having the most accurate percentage from beyond the arc of anyone in the country for Division I. Now she's added to that deadly jump shot a greater ability to drive to the basket and finish, either by muscling through defenders or finessing her way into floaters. Another returner who's been as crucial is Anastasia Semenova. Her abilities in the post have proven to be indispensable, particularly with Annette Adler going down to injury before conference play. That, in combination with her floor spacing, has given the Terrier offense a whole new dimension.
Absolutely. I think for me, Kelsey Mingo is also a standout this season. She has really stepped up her game this season. I mean, she's shooting a .455 three-point percentage, which is the highest on the team. She's been more confident shooting those three-pointers, and she's landing them now. Even Coach Graves has mentioned her in connection with Weimar and how she's really taken advantage of her kickouts. Jack, how do you think the younger players on the team are doing this season?
Well, the younger players make up most of this team, and they have oftentimes been the deciding factor in how a lot of these recent games have gone. That being said, on the whole, they've had a lot of quiet games offensively, and that is not sustainable for the level of success BU wants. As it is now, the Terriers have needed either great games from Weimer and Giannaros or full-on defensive masterclasses to win games, which leaves very little room for error. In particular, if one or both of Audrey Erickson and Ava Gormley can build on their successes and become more consistent threats, that'll give the captains a lot more room to breathe, both metaphorically and literally. Both have shown glimpses of great ability on offense, with Gormley as an explosive athlete and solid distributor, and Erickson as a floor spacer and a cutter. It's all about whether they can be relied on to do so game in and game out.
Well, that's all we have time for women's basketball. Let's throw it over to Henry and Mason for their take on the men's team.
Thanks, Tyler and Jack. It's been a roller coaster season for the Boston University men's basketball team. The Terriers have gone 5-7 in conference play, 10-15 overall, but this new-look squad has shown flashes of their high-flying potential, winning 3 of their last 5 games. I'm Mason Jablonsky. That's Henry Dinh-Price. So Henry, what's helped the Terriers find some rhythm on the hardwood?
Yeah, Mason, BU has certainly looked more promising as of late. Earlier in the year, BU's struggles came from its inability to knock down the long ball. The Terriers were shooting threes more than any other team in the Patriot League, despite hitting them at a league-low rate. It was tiring to watch at times. Threes early in the shot clock continued to clank off the iron. But in recent weeks, BU has changed its identity. The top priority on offense has been getting to the rim, whether on drives from the perimeter or finding sophomore forwards Otto Landrum, hi mom, and Nico Nobili inside. It has worked out well. The Terrier offense looks much more dynamic than it had in the past, and now when BU is shooting threes, the looks are often wide open.
Yeah, absolutely, Henry. The Terriers have also shown some stellar ball movement, and we really saw their playmaking shine during their game against Bucknell on February 10th. BU led by just 1 point at halftime, but dropped a ferocious 52-point second half on the Bison, powering the Terriers to a 77-62 win. BU absolutely scorched the net in the second, hitting 67% of their shots and 54% from downtown. Overall, the team racked up 22 assists on 28 made field goals. Henry, you have to love this style of play. Attacking the goal, feeding the big fellas down low, and kicking out to wide open shooters is the best way for this team to roll on offense. And when they're firing on all cylinders and assisting on over 70% of their shots, we might as well call them the Showtime Terriers. So Henry, as we close in on the Patriot League tournament, what's still holding these Terriers back?
Yeah, Mason, these Terriers simply cannot go on a winning streak to save their life. BU has only won consecutive games once this season. The Terriers are just 1-8 following a win. It's truly impressive. After starting Patriot League play at 2-5, BU hasn't been able to vault up the standings because it can't string together multiple wins in a row. Progress is nice, but if BU can't win back-to-back games before the Patriot League tournament, it will be seated in the bottom half of the conference without much of a path to do damage. Additionally, conference tournaments are all about winning consecutive games. BU needs to show it can do that. But Mason, the Terriers still have life. Who are the players that can help propel BU down this home stretch of the season?
Well, Henry, I'll be keeping my eye on Miles Brewster. As the most experienced player on the squad, Brewster has emerged as one of BU's leaders this season. In conference play, Brewster is averaging 11 points per game and leads the Terriers with 21 threes, shooting at a 46% clip. His ability to dial it up from deep and put the ball on the floor has come up huge time and time again, including his game-winning free throws against Lehigh, cool as a cucumber, on February 3rd. Then there's Otto Landrum, whose roaring slams and equally thunderous greeting to his mother has taken the nation by storm. Landrum's size and length has also been key for the Terriers, ripping down 5.9 boards a game and leading the fellas with 20 blocks this year.
Most definitely, Mason. Brewster and Landrum are huge pieces of BU's team. Hopefully, they can lead BU to a successful late season stretch. Well, that's about all the time we have for men's basketball. But first, if I'm able to sink this shot, I think the Terriers are back in business for the rest of this season.
Wait, Henry, you mean this shot right here?
Oh, this shot,
I
Mason.
see. Bullseye! Nice, Henry. I think that's a great sign. So with that, let's send it over to Caitlin for a lacrosse season preview.
Thanks, Henry and Mason. Both the men and women's lacrosse teams began their seasons with wins this past week. Men's lacrosse defeated St. Joseph's 14-10 on February 6th and then went on to beat Vermont in their home opener with a score of 18-8. Vince D'Alto beat the record for most points scored in men's lacrosse program history against Vermont. The graduate student surpassed the previous record of 215 set by Timmy Lade last season and now has 220 points with 136 goals and 84 assists. The home opener marked another program milestone when Louis Perfetto broke the all-time assist record. The grad student now stands at 105 assists and 196 points. Last season, the Terriers went 10-4 and won their second straight Patriot League regular season title. Their roster this season is stacked with high-scoring talent, including 8 graduate students. Junior goalie Will Barnes had to step up to fill in the loss of last season's starting goalie, Matt Garber. While Barnes only played 20 minutes last season, he has started the season strong with a save percentage of 60.9. Moving on to the women's side, the women's lacrosse team beat Merrimack 17-6 on February 10th. The team has steadily been improving over the last 2 seasons, going from a 2-15 record in 2022 to a 9-9 record in 2023. Hoping to better the team this season is new assistant coach Brindy Griffin. Griffin graduated from the University of Maryland in 2021, where she won 2 national championships. As a player, she accumulated 199 points and was a 2-time team captain. Afterwards, she was assistant coach of Navy women's lacrosse, where she helped them advance to the Patriot League semifinals last season. The Terriers lost their top 4 scorers from last season, which is opening the door for younger players. Midfield sophomore Elle Stevenson is shaping up to be one of the top scorers on the team, placing 5 goals in the back of the net against Merrimack. Stevenson started in 11 games last season and racked up 22 points. Junior attacker Hannah Tillier and senior attacker Toby Tick earned 29 and 23 points respectively in 2023. Some other names to look out for are New Haven transfer junior attacker Reagan Bailey, junior midi Abby Cotraro, freshman goalie Natalie Aosta, and freshman midi Tessa Geddes. That does it for lacrosse. Now let's throw it back to Haley and James at the desk.
Thank you, Caitlin. And that's all the time we have for tonight on Terrier Nation. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and X for the latest Terrier sports updates at Terrier Nation 10. I'm Haley Alvarez-Lauto.
And I'm James Ninneman. From all of us here at Terrier Nation, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.